The 1% rule, how small financial habits lead to massive wealth. Why you never get rich and the 1% secret. Have you ever wondered why some people effortlessly build wealth, while others struggle no matter how much they earn? You might think it's about landing a six-figure job or winning the lottery, but here's the shocking truth. The difference between being broke and being rich is usually just 1% decisions made daily. Let me ask you this. What if saving just $1 a day could turn into a fortune? What if cutting out one small unnoticed expense could mean retiring years earlier? What if the reason you aren't rich yet has nothing to do with your job, your salary, or your background, but your tiny, seemingly meaningless money habits? The world's richest people don't rely on luck. They master the 1% rule, a strategy that compounds small, smart money moves into life-changing wealth. Let's be real. Most people struggle with money because they believe it's about making drastic, painful sacrifices. They think, I need to stop buying coffee, or I need to completely change my lifestyle. But that's why most people give up. Here's the reality. Wealth isn't built in giant leaps, it's built in tiny steps. The difference between two people, one who struggles financially and one who becomes financially free, is often as small as a 1% difference in their daily habits. Now, you might be thinking, how can something so small make such a huge difference? Well, imagine this. Two people start at the same financial position. One makes small, consistent changes, investing an extra $5 a day, cutting an unnecessary $20 subscription, or negotiating a slightly better salary. The other person does nothing different, spends impulsively, ignores their savings, and doesn't think about small money habits. Fast forward 5, 10, 20 years, and the gap between them is massive. One is struggling paycheck to paycheck, while the other is financially secure. The only difference? The 1% rule. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can use the 1% rule to transform your financial future. With real-life examples, simple strategies, and actionable steps, you can start immediately. By the end of this video, you'll see money completely differently, and you'll have a powerful framework to start building serious wealth, step by step. Let's get started. What is the 1% rule? Alright, so we've talked about how small financial changes create big results. But now, let's break it down. What exactly is the 1% rule, and how does it work? Simply put, the 1% rule is about making tiny, consistent improvements in your financial habits every day, week, or month. Now, you might be thinking, 1% sounds tiny. How can that make a real difference? But here's the secret. Tiny improvements compound over time, and that's where the magic happens. Think about this. If you improve your financial habits by just 1% every day, by the end of a year, you won't just be 365% better. Thanks to compounding, you'll be 3,800% better. That's 38 times richer, smarter, and more financially free than you are today. Sounds crazy? Let me show you how this works. The simple math, how small changes compound into massive wealth. Imagine two people, Sarah and James. Sarah decides to apply the 1% rule to her finances. She starts small. She saves an extra $3 per day by skipping impulse buys, invests that money, and learns a little about personal finance every week. James, on the other hand, doesn't change anything. He spends freely and believes that small amounts don't matter. Fast forward 10 years. Sarah's small daily savings, compounded at 8% annually, turn into over $17,000 without her ever feeling like she made a sacrifice. James? Well, he's still stuck in the same paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Now, extend this to 20 years. Sarah's money has grown to over $52,000, and James? Still nothing. But here's where it gets even crazier. If Sarah keeps this habit going for 30 years, she will have over $180,000, all from a habit so small she barely noticed it. James, on the other hand, he's still wondering why he never got rich. This is the power of the 1% rule. Small, nearly invisible changes today stack up into life-changing financial security over time. Why most people ignore it, the invisible advantage. Here's why most people never take advantage of this rule. 1. They don't see immediate results. Saving an extra $5 or investing $20 more per month doesn't feel like it's doing anything, so they quit. 2. They believe they need big changes to succeed. They think, I need to make a lot of money to build wealth. Wrong. The secret is consistency, not intensity. 3. They focus on cutting costs instead of growing wealth. While cutting expenses is great, increasing your income by just 1% consistently can lead. Think about it. If you increase your income by just 1% each month, by the end of the year, you'll be earning 12.7% more without feeling like you worked any harder. Now imagine doing this for 5, 10, or 20 years. This is how the wealthiest people build unstoppable financial momentum. The secret of the rich: they stack small wins. Most people assume wealthy individuals got there through one big lucky break, a huge paycheck, a lucky investment, or an overnight success. But in reality, the rich get rich by stacking thousands of tiny financial wins over time. Warren Buffett didn't become a billionaire overnight. He started investing small amounts as a teenager and let compound growth do the work. Everyday millionaires don't make huge sacrifices. They make small, smart financial choices consistently. Even top athletes and business moguls don't improve in massive leaps. They get 1% better every single day. The good news? You can do this too. And the best part? You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be 1% better than yesterday. The power of compounding small money moves. Why small changes matter more than big wins. Here's a question for you. Would you rather have $1 million today or a single penny that doubles in value every day for 30 days? Most people immediately choose the $1 million, but if you pick the doubling penny, you'd end up with a mind-blowing $5.3 million by day 30. Crazy, right? That's the power of compounding, and it's exactly why the 1% rule is so effective. When you stack small, smart financial decisions on top of each other, they don't just add up, they multiply exponentially. The compounding formula: how small money moves multiply over time. Let's say you invest just $5 a day, the price of a fancy coffee. That's $150 per month. Now, if you invest that money into the stock market with an average return of 8% per year, guess how much you'd have in 10 years? Over $27,000. 20 years? Nearly $75,000. 30 years? A whopping $190,000. And if you increase that to $10 a day, your 30-year total jumps to nearly $400,000. The takeaway? Small, consistent money moves add up to life-changing wealth. Real-life examples: how people use small money moves to get rich. Let's take a look at real people who became wealthy by applying the power of compounding small financial habits. 1. Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor. Buffett started investing when he was 11 years old with just a few dollars. He didn't get rich overnight. He let his investments compound over decades, turning small amounts into billions. 2. Ronald Read, the secret millionaire janitor. Read was a janitor who lived frugally, investing small amounts over his lifetime. When he passed away, he shocked everyone by leaving behind $8 million, all thanks to the power of compound investing. 3. Everyday people, $5 a day stories. There are thousands of people who have built 6-figure and 7-figure portfolios just by investing tiny amounts consistently, proving you don't need a high income to get rich. The key? They didn't rely on big financial wins. They focused on small, smart moves that compounded over time. The trap: why most people fail to build wealth. So if this is so simple, why doesn't everyone do it? Here's why most people fail to build wealth. 1. They underestimate the power of small money moves. They think $5 or $10 won't make a difference, so they never start. 2. They focus on short-term gratification instead of long-term wealth. They spend impulsively because saving doesn't feel rewarding immediately. 3. They don't give compounding enough time to work. They expect quick results, and when they don't see them, they quit. Let's put this in perspective. Imagine someone starts investing $5 per day at age 25. By the time they retire at 65, they'll have over $500,000 from just coffee money. Now imagine another person waits until 35 to start. They'll have only $200,000, less than half, just because they started 10 years later. The lesson? The sooner you start, the bigger the impact. The takeaway: how to start compounding your wealth today. Here's how to start applying this right now. Find one tiny money habit to improve today. Save $5, invest a little more, cut one unnecessary expense. Automate your savings and investments. Make it effortless, so you don't have to think about it. Be patient and let compounding work for you. Don't expect results overnight. Wealth is a long game. Small daily habits don't just add up, they multiply. Real-life examples of the 1% rule in action, proof that small changes work in the real world. By now, you understand the 1% rule and how compounding small money habits can lead to financial success. But let's make this real. How are actual people using this rule to transform their finances? I'm about to show you 3 powerful, real-life examples of people who started with small, seemingly insignificant financial habits and ended up with life-changing results. Example 1. The Starbucks investor, how a $5 habit built a fortune. Meet Ted, an ordinary guy who loved buying coffee every morning. But one day he asked himself, what if, instead of buying coffee every day, I invested that $5? So he switched to making coffee at home and invested $5 a day into an index fund, averaging 8% annual returns. After 10 years, he had $27,000. After 20 years, his small daily habit turned into $75,000. After 30 years, his total had skyrocketed to $190,000 just from skipping coffee. Now, here's where it gets even crazier. If Ted had increased his investment by just 1% every month, he would have had over $300,000 by year 30. This is the power of the 1% rule. Small, daily choices that don't feel like sacrifices but stack up over time. Example 2. The janitor who became a millionaire without anyone knowing. Now, let's talk about Ronald Reed, a janitor who quietly amassed an $8 million fortune while working a job that paid just a few dollars an hour. How did he do it? Tiny, consistent financial habits. He saved small amounts from each paycheck instead of spending on unnecessary luxuries. He invested in simple, steady stocks and never sold them. Over time, compounding did the work, turning his small savings into millions. Most people think you need to make a ton of money to get rich. Ronald Reed proved that's completely false. His story proves that you don't need a high income to get rich. You just need the discipline to apply the 1% rule consistently. Example 3. The 1% savings trick that allowed Sarah to retire early. Sarah was like most people. She made a decent salary, but never seemed to have enough left over to save. One day, she discovered the 1% rule for savings and decided to increase her savings rate by just 1% every month. Month 1, she saved just 1% of her income, a tiny, barely noticeable amount. Month 2, she increased it to 2 cents, still easy. Month 3, she saved 3%, then 4%, and so on. By the end of the year, she was saving 12% of her income effortlessly, without ever feeling deprived. Fast forward 10 years, and Sarah had over $150,000 saved and invested, allowing her to retire early in her 40s. Her secret? She never made huge, painful cuts. She just gradually applied the 1% rule. What these stories teach us: the small habits that lead to wealth. So, what do all these examples have in common? They didn't make drastic financial changes. They just made small, consistent improvements. They relied on compounding. They let time and consistency do the heavy lifting. They started where they were. They didn't wait for a high salary or a perfect time. They just began with what they had. And that's the key. Wealth isn't built overnight. It's built 1% at a time. How to apply this in your own life? Actionable takeaways. So how can you start applying the 1% rule right now? Step 1. Find one small financial habit you can improve today. Save an extra $1 a day. Invest an extra $5 a week. Cut one unnecessary subscription. Step 2. Automate it. Set up an automatic transfer to savings. Use an app to round up spare change into investments. Step 3. Stay consistent. Don't focus on short-term results. Focus on compounding over time. Tiny changes today equals massive wealth tomorrow. Practical steps to apply the 1% rule today. The power of immediate action. By now, you've seen how the 1% rule can transform your finances over time. But the real question is, how do you start applying it in your own life, right now? A lot of people watch videos like this, feel motivated, and then do nothing. Not this time. You're going to take action today. And I'll make it simple for you. Here are 3 powerful, practical ways to start using the 1% rule to build wealth starting right now. Step 1. The invisible savings trick. Most people think saving money means cutting out everything fun. That's not true. The easiest way to save more money without feeling it, the invisible savings trick. How it works. Every time you get paid, automatically transfer 1% of your income into a savings or investment account. If you earn $3,000 a month, that's just $30. So small, you won't even notice it. Next month, increase it to 2%, then 3%, and so on. Within a year, you could be saving 10% or more of your income without ever feeling deprived. Bonus tip: set up automatic transfers so it happens before you even see the money. And remember, you don't have to start big, just start. Step 2. The 1% spending challenge. Think of one small expense you can cut by just 1% of your income. How it works. Review your monthly spending and find something that doesn't bring you real happiness. A random subscription, impulse buys, unnecessary fees. Cancel or reduce it, and redirect that tiny amount towards savings or investments. Example: if you spend $200 a month on eating out, cut just $2, that's 1%. Redirect that money into an investment account. At first, you won't even notice the difference, but after a year, you'll have built a powerful savings habit. Challenge: try cutting 1% in different areas: food, shopping, entertainment, and watch how fast your savings grow. Step 3. The 1% income growth strategy. Most people focus only on cutting costs, but increasing your income by just 1% consistently can skyrocket your wealth even faster. How it works. Every month, find a tiny way to increase your income by at least 1%. Here are easy ways to do this. Negotiate a small raise at work. Start a tiny side hustle, freelancing, selling a product, tutoring. Monetize your skills. Even an extra $20 a month makes a difference when invested long-term. Real example. If you make $50,000 a year, A 1% increase is just $500 per year, or $41 per month. If you invest that extra $41 monthly over 30 years, it can grow into over $70,000. The key? Focus on tiny, manageable income boosts over time. Final mindset shift, the magic of small steps. Most people never build wealth because they believe they need huge, drastic changes. But the reality? You just need to be 1% better than yesterday. You don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to start. So here's your challenge. Pick one of these steps and take action today. Will you start the invisible savings trick? Will you take the 1% spending challenge? Or will you focus on increasing your income by 1%? Drop a comment below. What's the first small money habit you'll start today? Let's build wealth 1% at a time. The power of tiny decisions. Let's be real. Most people never take control of their financial future because they believe it's too complicated, too late, or too hard. But now you know the truth. You don't need drastic changes. You just need to be 1% better every day. 1% better at saving. 1% better at investing. 1% better at growing your income. These tiny changes may feel small today, but over time, they become life-changing wealth. Right now, you have two choices. So option 1, do nothing. Close this video and go back to life as usual. In a year, nothing will have changed. Option 2, take one small action today. Apply just one tiny habit from this video. And a year from now, you'll look back and realize this was the moment you changed everything. So here's your challenge. What's one small financial habit you're going to start today? Drop a comment below with your answer. Let's build financial freedom, 1% at a time. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to Raveling Money, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Your future self will thank you. See you in the next video.